The war in Ukraine rages on, bodies are piling up, and things look awfully grim. But a new poll shows that despite all that, a majority of Americans would stay and fight here if a similar invasion landed on our shores. Look at this. 55% of Americans would stay and fight, 38% would leave the country. But here's the kicker. 52% of Democrats would rather leave. Only 36% of independents would flee, and 25% of Republicans. Democrats, are they freedom fighters or just a bunch of yellow bellies? The party panel is back. Karol Markowicz, Chris Hahn, and Spike Cohen. Chris, Democrats, bunch of babies, really. Look at that. They're all leaving.
Well, you know,
leaving the Republicans and the Libertarians to fight for you because we have the guns, because you guys are a bunch of babies.
Guns help.
For the record, if I survive the nuclear blast, I will absolutely stay and fight. I looked at that poll. It should have been broken down demographically. The one major exception is Republican women are more likely than any other women to stay and fight. But if you break it down demographically, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, with the exception of Republican women, all have the same proclivity to stay and fight. But we should all be prepared to stay and fight should this ever come down, because where else are we going to go? This is the land of the free, the home of the brave, the greatest country that ever was. And we should be ready to die for it.
If Trump wins, I'm going to Canada. I'm leaving so I can be oppressed there. Spike, I know you lost your guns in a tragic boating accident. Given that, would you stay and fight, Spike?
Well, I can't now because of the boating accident. No, as someone who just fired a machine gun about 24 hours ago, I'm probably the most qualified person to talk about fighting the Russian military on this panel. I would say that I wish they had told libertarians.
Karol Markowicz? She's got a pretty compelling history.
No, you know what? That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I wish they had polled libertarians specifically, because I think our numbers would have been through the roof. I do say I hope that if the Russians invade, they don't take the step of dressing up like police officers, and then the conservatives will be fine with whatever they do. Anyway, so I think that really what this comes down to is my favorite part of Joe Biden's State of the Union speech was when, within about a 30-minute time span, he went from praising the Ukrainians who were literally using machine guns and rocket launchers and Molotov cocktails against an invading force, and then explaining why none of us should have rifles or AR-15s. Yeah. As he said before, we should just have a double-barrel shotgun, which is much easier to use, of course, and safer. But I think that the actual purpose of the Second Amendment and the right to keep and bear arms, one of them is to invade against foreign invasion. It's also to invade against domestic invasion, but it is to the people to be able to protect themselves from those who would aggress upon them. That is what gun rights are about, and I think we should definitely be fostering that. Yeah, and people lose sight of that, although they have been cheering the Ukrainian version of the Second Amendment, where they're teaching you how to make those Molotov cocktails on PBS, yes, which is fantastic. Karol, would you stay and fight?
So unlike Spike, I've only shot a gun one time. That was shooting cans at Will Kane's house. It was great. And I don't own any guns, although I plan to, because I just moved to Florida. But I'm from Brooklyn, so if necessary, I can get one. I would stay and fight, absolutely. I'm surprised that the Democrat on the panel agreed that, America is the last best hope. But I really do, when I saw this poll, I already assumed that everywhere else had been captured, because if they're already invading America, we're sort of at the end of it. It's not like it's like being a British person in World War II and escaping to France. Like, not a good move, I'd stay and fight.
I would stay and fight, absolutely. I'd fight with everything. Bleach and these. You're going to have to register these. A little later, if Chris Hahn has his way, we're going to have to register everything. Meanwhile...